Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Robin Elms. Today I'm going to be talking about credit cards and how you can use them to improve your credit score. First, what are credit cards? Credit cards are similar to debit cards in that you can use them for your spending. The difference being that the money you're spending is not yours. It's the credit card provider's money that you're effectively borrowing every month and then paying back in full. And you do need to pay this back in order to avoid fees and interest. Depending on your personal situation, your credit card provider may allow you to spend an allowance of anywhere from £25 to in the thousands. Typically, people with higher incomes and better credit ratings are given higher allowances. This is because they are seen as less risky by the credit card provider and more likely to pay back their allowance on time. Okay, now let's talk about why it's important to improve your credit rating. I used to believe that because I was good at budgeting, saving money, and I had no debt, there was no real need for me to get a credit card or take out any particular credit. I knew that having some level of credit history would help me if I was to one day apply for a mortgage, but I had no idea that employers and even landlords sometimes look at your credit rating before deciding to accept your application. So hopefully you can see that it's really important to improve your credit score even if you're not trying to borrow money in the future. Because if there's two applicants that are exactly the same and the landlord or the employer cannot choose between which one, they will then go to what the credit rating is. And if you've got a better credit rating, you're more likely to get the job or the apartment that you were wanting. If you've got no credit history or very little, you will have a poor credit rating, which is not good. If you don't have any credit at all or it's poor, say bye-bye to that job or that dream home that you wanted. So taking out credit in the form of a phone contract or even a credit card can help improve your credit rating. For the purposes of this video, I'll be talking about how to use a credit card to improve your credit score. Okay, so how do you go about improving your credit score? The first thing you need to do is have a look to see what your credit score is right now. You can do this on a variety of free websites and apps. I'll leave a link for some of those in the description box below. I personally quite like ClearScore. It's a free app that you can download, and every month it updates me on my new credit rating, so I can keep an eye on my credit score. The next thing you need to do is to check what credit cards are out there and compare them. MoneySupermarket.com is a great place to start, as they will tell you how likely you are to be accepted for each of the credit cards that they list. I would also encourage you to check out Vanquis, as they are my credit card provider. Your next step is to narrow down your list of credit cards. Ideally, you only want to make one application for a credit card. This is because when you apply for many credit cards in a very short period of time, this can negatively impact your credit rating, as it gives the impression that you are desperate for money, and that will mean that future credit applications will probably get denied. Personally, if you can, I would avoid credit cards that involve an annual or a monthly fee, because there is no point paying extra when there are free credit cards out there. Also, don't worry about the very high interest rate on the credit cards, because as long as you are intending to pay off the full balance every single month, you will never have to pay that crazy level of interest. Once you have narrowed it down to the credit cards you are more likely to be accepted for, check out the Trustpilot reviews for that company and pay special attention to any comments around their customer service. It would be better to go with a company that's got a much better Trustpilot rating. However, if you've not got many to choose from, beggars can't be choosers. Maybe later down the line, you'll have the opportunity to apply for one that's much better. Once you have done all of your research and you've decided which credit card you want to go with, now is the time to apply. When you're filling in your application, make sure you triple check everything to make sure you haven't made any silly mistakes that may mean your application is rejected, such as an error on your address. Click submit and cross your fingers and toes that you get accepted. Hopefully your application will be successful, in which case congrats to you. If not, don't apply for another credit card straight away. Give it a month or two before applying again. Once you've been accepted, you should get told what your credit allowance is. In my case, it was £500, which was a lot more than I was expecting. Now you just need to wait for all the documents to arrive and also your credit card. Here are some tips to improve your credit score. If possible, set up a direct debit to pay the balance in full every month before the due date. This is so you never have to pay any fees or interest. If you can't set up a direct debit, make sure you set a reminder in your calendar to pay the balance in full at least a week before the due date. This is to ensure that the balance in full reaches the credit card provider before the due date, so you are not charged any fees. Make sure you have more than the amount you need to pay the balance in your current account. I'd recommend you have at least twice the amount you need to pay for your balance in your current account. This is to avoid stressing about being able to afford the balance in full every month. Don't get a credit card if you cannot afford to pay the balance in full every month, because if you only make the minimum payments, your debt will spiral out of control. Only use your credit card to pay for things that you need and that you would normally buy, such as food or travel costs. Don't use your credit card as an excuse to go on a spending spree to buy things that you want but don't need. Make sure you do use your credit card every month, even if that's just 1% of the allowance on there, and spend no more than 30% of the allowance each month to show the credit card provider that you are not dependent on the money, and also to encourage them to increase your allowance. To work out your credit card utilisation, do the amount you are currently spending each month divided by the allowance times 100. To work work out what you want to be spending to keep your credit card utilisation low, you should do your allowance divided by 100 times by the credit utilisation you want to be spending. Only apply in your name, because if you do a joint application, if the other person defaults on any of their payments unrelated to the credit card, it will show on your credit file, which will impact your credit score. We've already spoken about this before, but if you apply for multiple credit applications at the same time, this will negatively impact your credit rating. Do not use your credit card to withdraw cash at an ATM because it will cost you. Use your debit card instead, that should be free for you. Some credit card providers charge you for using your credit card abroad, or charge very high currency conversion fees if you're buying something in a different currency. And finally, don't close the account if you don't have to. Even if you're not using the credit card right now, it's much better to just not use it for a little while than to close the account, because if you do close the account, it will negatively impact your credit rating. It's much better to make an effort to still use your credit card every month, even if that's just 1% every single month, and then paying it back, so that you can still make the most of the benefit of having it and it improving your credit score. Let me know in the comments below what you think about credit cards, which ones you use and what you use them for. I hope you have a wonderful day. Sending you peace and love. Goodbye.